Hi traders, this is Thiago and welcome to Bull or Bear Futures channel. Today I'm gonna carry out another live transmission as we've been doing on Tuesdays, and the objective here, as I always mention, is to show you how to mix the technical analysis with order flow tools. That for me gives the trader a competitive edge in terms of refining entries and exits. The flow gives the trader a perspective of what's behind the candle, because following the order flow, you see what's going to be shown later on the forward candle. Okay, so as usual, I will start with the pre-market studies, where I point my regions, where I define the regions I intend to look at during the session. The important regions I always write beforehand. As I mentioned in my latest video, it's actually important to have this strategy or your tactics defined before the action starts, so as you can do it without bias or without your feelings. You can put our feelings aside. Okay, so I'm just turning out my camera. And moving to the video. Okay, you see that if you usually follow my transmissions, you are going to see that there's a different column this time. I reduced the size of the charts here and increased one volumetric bar here. That is the third one. This one I use 3 minutes, this one 7 minutes, and this one 20 or 40 minutes. Here the issue is less the time frame, but the point for me is to have info. I cannot lose. Candles cannot change at the same time on both and on three. Okay, I need to see if they change all at the same time. I get lost. It's not good for me. And this one I already had on my screen, but it was out of the recorded area. And now I decided to insert so we can talk about this, okay? Just starting, I will put here during the session, here is our pre-market studies, as I every morning deliver, okay? We're seeing here that yesterday we have a green candle, a big green candle, where the moving average exponential and simple 200 days moving average were overcome. The close at 40.36 was above them, showing that buyers were actually with power. The value area, yesterday's value area is from 40.22.25 to 40.50. That means it's above the 4,000 and it goes through the 50, so it's a good signal for buyers. There was not a rejection. Again, prices are trading for several sessions around the moving average. And so while it's above 40.04 or above the 40.100, could possibly be good for them. We're starting here, right close close to the bottom of the value area. That is 40.22. Actually is not that close. It's around 40.15. We have a 40.20 important and 40.22.25. That is the bottom of the value area. So this could be the first region to be observed. Okay. Here I when I state here the scenarios, we put here that 2022.5 would be the first one. By the time of writing, we're trading 40.25, but we are already starting below it. So I understand that the 17 here could be also a reference. 15 to 17 yesterday offered some resistance at the beginning, was resistance one. So let's see what's going to happen. Look here, we have the pivot point at 40.25, 424. We have the value area low at 422, and 420, 4020 is an important region. So from especially 22 to 24, it's important because the value area low and pivot point, this is meaningful regions in terms of defining possibilities for the session. Okay, so many times it works as they set the mood for the session. So let's see if it's going to be able to overcome the 17. We've seen this range is a small range formed from 12 to 16. It's too small to consider yet, but we're seeing that lots of aggressions both from sellers on the left where buyers absorbed, and from buyers where sellers absorbed. So I understand that the 20 region could be important to show us some perspective for the session. Even though price reaches the 20, there were no big blocks bought right there. If you see here in this times and sales, we see big blocks bought at 15, 17, 30 at 18.5, but no blocks at 20. We're seeing this absorption here and kind of exhaustion in 20.5, but it's too early to say. Let's see if we see here strong buying intensity, but sellers absorbing as well. So let's see what's going to happen. If we see buyers aggression and sellers absorbing below the 18, this could be a signal of the possibility of moving downwards again. It would mean that sellers will be absorbing in a lower level, and then this can lead, if sellers put pressure, this can lead to a continuity of a down move. We've seen this absorption here in the 15, even down under, but price center at, it's important to look at the volume at price here at Superdome. 14 is the base of the region. There was an exhaustion also here close to the 12. Let's see if it's going to break this range downwards or if it will keep trading below it, inside it. And so we could see a range from 13 to 18, 19. Let's see. We see here sellers putting pressure, but buyers absorbing. Oh, the absorption. So in between this 13 to 19, it's hard to reach a conclusion. What we have seen so far is that sellers are absorbing lots of buyers' aggressions. We see here in the third volumetric bar that even though buyers buyers effectively bought, sellers absorbed. As I mentioned before, there were no big blocks from buyers. This was kind of small orders. That is an indicative that the breakout could fail. So far, we're seeing that sellers are actually putting pressure. Let's see the next point we have down here. I think that is downwards is 0.4. As I've mentioned before, the trading below 17 could speed up to the 0.04. Let's see if it's gonna go there. It came to the 9.5. At 11:45, we have there'll be the manufacturing and services PMI to be released. So around this time, we can see an increase in the volatility. We're seeing that it slid until the 9 and quickly returned to 15. So we're seeing an increased volatility compared to yesterday. Yesterday, I initially had some, but after the first 2.5 hours, price assumed a firm upward move. It would be important. It would be interesting to trade, especially for buyers, in terms of continuity of the upwards move. It would be important to trade above the 40.35, 40.40, 40.35. I guess. Yeah, because you have a big region from 40.04 to 40.34. So it would be important to keep the possibilities of continuity of the hike. It would be important to trade above the 40.34. Okay, and not trading below the. So we could see price could get sideways within this region. Does not mean that it would fall below this. Could see some, since buyers are being aggressive, but to speed up or to maintain, to keep the possibilities of new highs, it would be 34, 35 region is the key. Taking the opportunity, after 34, we could point 45, 47, and 50. as regions. The 57 was important. It was previously important. Yesterday the high was around it, and above it 6769. Moving downwards, you could say from now here we are on 4010 would be the 40 4009 010. It was important, but since it passed through yesterday, I prefer not to take note. But this region is also important, but I put here the 04, that seems to be more important. Below it, the 95, 98. 90 is the beginning of the another region, another important range from last week that goes from 39.74 to 39.90, 74 to 90. So as usual, in my perspective, entering the 90, we could see a try to go until the 74. Okay, so downwards we could say 04, 98, 95, 95, 98, and 92, 90 actually. 92, 90. Moving downwards, we could look for a short that could last a bit longer. Let's see now if it's going to be able to overcome the 20, but what we are seeing, look here in the bottom left, we're seeing the volatility, the increased volatility in this beginning. We're 2 minutes from the PMIs, manufacturing and service PMI, so we could see a reduction in the depth of market here. We could see a volatility, oh, sorry, a liquidity decreased here. Let me see something. A decrease in this depth here, the 671 is the depth of the market. You could see this. It's usually when we have important indicators, it's usual to see it reducing around the time of the disclose of the release. It will be in 9:45, 50 seconds. Did you see from 700 to 200? 100. Let's see what's gonna happen. If even with this, prices don't overcome the 24, we could see it as a weakness signal, because when price shakes by the time of this kind of release, many times it moves. The displacement is huge, 10, 12, 10, 20 points. If it didn't displace, we have it here. You see that the high was 18 so far. We did not even reach the 20. Total crazy here. We've seen again, there was some absorption from sellers. Buyers made aggressive orders at 40.20, but sellers absorbed it. Anyway, it's always hard to reach any conclusion, any kind of conclusion right at this very beginning. We're seeing the absorption. We've seen buyers aggression, but sellers absorption here in 16. We're seeing buyers trying again. Now they succeeded in, but see here, price reached right the value area low. Let's see whether it's going to reach the pivot point. We didn't have that much big orders. Let's see if with this move, price will reach the 35 region. Just a moment just to check what point I have here. Uh, Here I have noted the 40.27 and 40.32.34. Price just reached the 26. Now, the important should be for buyers to remain above this pivot point. Remaining above it could lead to a try of reaching the 40.50. That is the value area high. But failing to overcome the pivot point and especially trading below the 40.22 could mean a resume of tries to going down. But now we're seeing some buying pressure. Look here in this filtered times and sales with blocks bigger than 15 contracts. Okay, now we're seeing that buyers are prevailing. We're seeing this around the 22, 23, 5, 6. Okay, so they're putting pressure. But we are seeing absorptions from sellers and buyers absorbing sellers' aggressions. Now we've seen, look at here to this bottom left, sorry, to this, excuse me, left column from 22 to 25. Sellers made lots of aggressions and buyers absorbed it. That means sellers are not being able to push prices below the 40.22. It means that they are actually putting efforts to remain above the value area. But as I've mentioned before, if we start seeing absorptions before this 22, we could see prices turning down. So the 22 as the value area low tend to be this important region actually. Let's see. If you see now the liquidity in the level 2, liquidity in the book is normal again. This 1,000 that we have here, did you remember at the time of the release was 100? So things get really crazy. We're seeing again buyers making all their efforts to overcome the 24 and sellers spending lots of contracts trying to defend here. It's the pivot point. And so it's usually defended actually. Let's see, the highs were on 26, 25, 26, 25. Yeah. These two candles here, these two candles, the high we had in these two candles were 26, 25. If we look at this third volumetric bar here, we're seeing that buyers are actually absorbing. Sellers are actually absorbing buyers' aggressions. Buyers absorbed, selling ones here. So let's see if it's going to. We had the 27 noted, then if it overcoming the 27, it could consider the 32, 34, but remembering that close was 36 and this 34 to 35 was actually important. So overcoming this region, we could hope for congestion 32 to 36 maybe. That is also the top of the range I've mentioned from 40.04 to, just a second, 40.04 to 40.34 is a big range traded last week. Now, after all these aggressions, it seems that that region of 26 was overcome. Let's see if there will be a pullback or if it will keep going from this point. We're seeing here that after the breakout, we're seeing buyers absorbing in 28, 25 here. So this kind of buying absorption in the highs are something actually that usually points not to a certainty of the continuity, but it's usual. Every time it continues, it's usual to see this kind of absorption here. So we overcame. There was a breakout in a region, in a range, okay, such as this range here from 26. It was a breakout, and then sellers were not able to put prices back right there again. So buyers started absorbing in upper levels. We're seeing here that even the 30, 40-30 buying appetite still remains. Sellers are making aggressions and they're buying here. The daily simple moving daily averages. Today, the exponential moving average is 28, 40.28. The simple moving average is in 40.08, so it's overcome by far. Now let's see if if prices enter again this 26, many times this, if when turning back to another, to the previous range, many times it price keep to the base of the range, entering the previous range it can be seen as a kind of weakness. But since we're at a really important region, it's better to avoid believing on it, even though it can happen. But it's better to avoid, since we could see a defense. Prices are turning back again to the 22.25. That is the value area low. Let's see let's see if it's going to respect the 21.25 here. Price could make a pullback here in trending region and then try to move upwards. But what we're seeing is a strong selling pressure, remembering that this 40-20 was important. So from 20 to 24, we had an important. You've seen I just mentioned about entering the previous range. This case, it also worked. It dropped it. It was how much? 7-point slide. But since it was too close to the pivot point, that is usually a good support and resistance, I prefer not to believe on this, or to avoid this unnecessary risk. Failing to overcome the 20 again could reinforce the signal of weakness. '17. I didn't write the 17 because we could say it's a weak point, and I have already many points noted that I deliver, so I avoid some of them to do not mislead or make confusion. But 17 is actually an important, was a bottom of a range yesterday, so we could see some activity there, and trading consistently or failing or losing the 17, we could see a price speeding up downwards. But since now it's right in the middle of the range, even though even considering this could be important, right in the middle of the range, I prefer to avoid something, because if we're in the middle of the range, it means that there's lots of interest above it and down and below it. So I could get stopped quickly, since my stop is short. I should put a stop above the range, and it's too far for me. But so far, what we're seeing after the indicators release is that prices keeps weak. Yesterday, or even after this, the release of the indicator, there was some struggle. There was the region of value area and pivot point were overcome, but we did not even reach the yesterday's high. Okay, price moved just until the 30. Did not reach the 34. That is a top of an important region. Let's see if it's going to overcome the 17 here. Failing to overcome 17 is also a weakness. But considering the range, you're seeing the range here from until here the 1975. Since in 40-20 we have 792 contracts. We could say the range is coming until 1950. This would be where I would look at something. Look here, we're seeing sellers putting pressure, buyers absorbing, trying to defend this bottom of the range. Okay, lots of pressure here. We can see from times and sales that they're actually putting pressure. Let's see whether they're going to be able to to trade below the region. If not, the low is in 40.09. We have the bias or trend, at least I have this trend of look for breakouts every time. If I see a base of the range, I'm usually looking at, oh, it's when it's going, or trying to have indicatives of the breakout. If it goes to the upper side as well, to the upper end as well. But many times we see that prices get sideways, for probably most sideways than breaking out, especially in such a small time frame, or a small in small lasting, or in quick trades. So for scalping, these limits of ranges are actually interesting. We see here that there was an exhaustion at the 10, that is right the bottom of the range, and then it moved up until the 15. Okay, so especially especially in a volatile, actually in every market, but especially in volatile, it's interesting to consider these ranges, because many times looking at the charts, we can see big shadows above and below the body. So this can mislead us, or this is a clear picture that it's volatile. But looking where is the interest of the players tend to be safer. Let's see if they're going to overcome the 19. We could see possibly getting sideways from 20 to 10. Should be possible. There was some in some session, 6 to 16. In some session, I think we got stuck here. Not sure, but I think. So looking at the 2 minutes, looking at the story told so far, we started below value area, tried to reach it, but failed in 20, move it downwards, make the low in the 0.9, then tried the upward move. There was the release of indicator, had made the high at the 40.30, and now right there was a quickly turn back that did not make a new low. So when you have this kind of move and then it comes downwards and do not make a new low, do not make a breakout, it's not unusual to see to be an indicative that prices could get down, sideways, even though we've seen here that it failed to overcoming the 16. So this fail in the 16 is indicative for us that better to avoid than trying considering a long here before a possible sideways scenario, because it failed to overcome the 17, as I've mentioned before. So let's see if it fails now. No, it seems that it succeeded. Let's see the 40.04 here. If they work from 4 to 6, 4 to 5, we can say we have a region. Let's see whether the 4 will work. We actually reached the 005, the 5.25. And we're seeing lots of absorption here. Price moved all this way, 10 points, almost 10 points in this latest move. Buyers are trying to defend and sellers absorbing buying aggressions here, okay? We don't know, but only by this info, we can say about nothing about who's gonna win, but it means that buyers should actually have lots of contracts to buy in order to be able to push up again, because sellers were willing to sell down here. Such a big amount of intention or selling here means that people or some people or is trying to push downwards or think that selling here is a good business because no one trades to lose money. So those guys that are absorbing buyers' aggression here understand that to sell here, it's a good price, it's a good offer, it's a good opportunity. So when we see this, it's not unusual to see when trading below it. Many times we see an absorption even down under, down lower and lower. And if we see an absorption here, then it many times gives the clue to sellers to put pressure and we see the breakout. But we are never, it's important to understand the context, to always have the context in mind, but never to anticipate something. I'm always telling about these possibilities, but and we have better odds, a good odds and bad odds, or with higher odds and lower odds. We do not have, we are never 100% sure. So, such as in this example, sellers were absorbing, but buyers succeeding in pushing price up again. And what happened here? What's happening here? We re-entered the previous congestion that came into the 10. Remember the 10? That was the base before. The same rationale I've mentioned up there, it values down here. When we have here, we started forming this range. If sellers are not able to hold buyers here and buyers are able to push price up, this is a scenario where when it's more used, it's more common to see prices moving up. So for scalping opportunities, this usually leads to good 2-3 points scalping opportunities. We're seeing here that the high in this move was 1525. We did not reach the 17, not even the 16. It reached the 1525. Let's see. This 1525 is currently the point of control, sessions point of control. Okay. That means that is most traded region, most traded point. We're seeing that 1, 2, 3, 4. We have four candles here in the 16 region. It means that is actually strong, but at the same time, it's the fourth try to overcome it, and it's not unusual to see after many tries, players succeeding in moving the movement, in making the movement. Let's see if it's going to reach the 1920 here. Even though this is a reference, we could say that the range could come until here, the 19. And remembering that the value area low is 22.25, failing in reach there could also be a sign of weakness, and we could see prices turning back again to this big range until at least 10. We could not say about moving down here, but as I've mentioned before, we have here this session from 34 to 004. It would be important to overcome the 4034, okay, to keep the the possibilities of the upward hike, but failing to reach there as it happened could lead to a move until the 4004, okay? And so it was exactly what we've seen. Price reached here the 525 that we know that we could consider. We are always telling about points, but it's not that precise. We talk about even saying a point, we're talking about a region. So this 04 was actually 03 to 5 or 6 that was traded yesterday. And let's focus here on the 1950, let's say, to check whether. Guys, if you think this has been helpful, just remember to leave your like if possible. If this if if this is of your interest or it's something that can help more people, your like helps us as well. Okay, what we're seeing again is this difficulties to say buyers putting pressure, but sellers absorb it again. We see in these times and sales, we're seeing that from 5 minutes at least, buyers were prevailing. Buyers were actually making aggressions, buying in the higher. You see here in the green predominant here means that buyers are being more aggressive. But we're seeing that in the 16, sellers are absorbing as well. So this region of 17, it's been more important than the 20 actually. We're seeing here again lots of aggressions from buyers and sellers absorbing. Now we had the breakout. Let's see whether it's going to pass. We have this range here at 26, 12.15. If you see, it started at 12.15. No, it was a bit before. It made a high in the 29.25. You see that was before previous high. Okay. We're seeing buyers trying, but sellers absorbing 26. We just reached there, but we are right at the pivot point. That's 24.5. We're seeing the struggle here to overcome. We know, and obviously market makers or the big players know that this is important. And so if we see prices overcome this region, being able to hold here, let's see if let's wait for the 22. I don't like that very fast, that quickly movements, because when things happen so quick in a direction, it can also happen the other direction. So I personally doesn't like that. But let's see if it's going to overcome the 25, 26 here. If we see if the 22.25 actually works as support now, if buyers succeed in holding here, then we could see possibly it would be possible to see the continuity. But so far what we've been seeing is that sellers are strong, and when they try to push downwards, they are succeeding. They're spending lots. We're seeing here the struggle in 22 that was previously known important. Buyers, lots of buying aggressions, but sellers absorption. Lots of sellers aggressions, buyers absorption. The kind of situation that we should do nothing if they're struggling there. If not even them reached an agreement about the what would happen, it's even worse for us simply retail traders. But we've seen here again, looking at the context, the story. In this latest move, it was a quick move with not that much contracts and failed to make a new high. So this led margin to the interpretation of a signal of weakness, and then price can move the opposite direction, and it was what happened now. It reached 29, the top here of this small range, then moved upwards, downwards, entered again the previous range, and then slide so far 10 points. Do you see why I'm always mentioning about the range? Because if we keep struggling in between, inside the range, it's hard. We can get lots of stops, and this is terrible for our confidence. But the limits of the range are usually where is the interest. So failing in one end may give opportunity for a good trade that sometimes can displace or can go until the other end of the range. So it's, in my point of view, it's always preferable to try to work this against the move if we see some fail or some exhaustion in the end of the range, or a trending trade after overcoming the range and we see absorption or something that shows us that move could continue. And at the beginning, many times at the beginning of the session, these ranges are more clearer for us because it's just being formed. So during the session, in some days we have this very clear and we can clearly establish the limits, but what usually happens is that the ranges are being filled up, such as here. We have a clear region, a clear range until the 19, this region. We're seeing that now above the 19 to 20, it's been filled up. So it goes getting more difficult to see through the volume at price. In this case, we can look at the chart and we'll see how many times it reached the region, but it's getting tougher to see here. But for me, in this case, what means is that I usually not change my perspective, or I do not change the approach. In this case, I prefer to keep seeing, keep watching, keep looking at the limits of the range. And if the range gets bigger, it means that for me, I could possibly find less opportunities, less trading possibilities. But this is part of the game. If I consider these are safer, these are the safest trades, these are safer from others, I should keep in this strategy. So we're seeing it's been filled. Let's see if it's going to reach at least the 26. Now I would consider that this big range that we can also see here at the volume profile, that is a crucial tool for me. It goes around 10 to 26. Sorry, 10 to 20 so far. But actually, in my perspective, the 20, it's above the 20 is getting risky, and the 26 would be actually the end for me, even though we have this space here from 20 to 21.5. We're seeing again below the 16. Let's see. If we see here, look at the 15 minutes, the size of the candles. The first one, in most of them, the shades are bigger than the bodies. What tell us about the volatility I was mentioned before. So we see in the 15 minutes how it shaked and the size of the shadows. That shows us that it's actually choppy. Now buyers trying again to overcome the 20. It's not been easy. But this time, if we see here in the times and sales, the orange here prevails and it shows that sellers are being more intense, even though we've seen blocks from buyers, but sellers are being more aggressive. This time it varies. So at this time they're being more aggressive. So let's see if they're going to succeed to overcome. We're seeing lots of all this absorption here. Let's see again here in the 20. What all we're seeing is a difficulty to overcome the 20. Okay, it's just completed 1 hour of transmission. Let's see if we'll have a conclusion of this move, and I will finish in a couple of minutes, not to get such a big video. So reaching 1 hour, I'm always trying to finish it. Let's see the 20, even though the volume at price here is getting a mess, it's getting hard to see, to reach a conclusion. We're seeing that 20 region keeps relevant, and buyers are trying to push price up, but it's facing difficulties. What we're seeing now that it didn't even reach the 26 over there. In the daily, let's see the daily. I didn't look at it. Daily chart, we're between the 200 days moving average. We're trading here. Many times when it's going to have a reject, or when it's going to revert the move, we do not see such a long time trading around the point. Good resistance in good resistance, it's better to see a rejection, and this is what not we've seen. We've seen 4 days of high close to the moving average, then a pullback right at you could say the top of the previous congestion here from December, and then 2 candles moving up. So even though today it's been difficult to move there, I understand that the story here is a bullish story. But this is a too long term for me, for us as day traders and scalpers, but it's always important to have that reference in mind. Let's see. We are right at the value area low. You see, we just reached it there, and there was a quick rejection. We can here see this middle volumetric bar. This was a exhaustion here, 500, 200, 170, 13, with 0 in the bid side. So let's see what's going to happen. But it would not be a surprise if we see this range increasing until the 26. Maybe it could get ranging within. For me, from all the conditions, it seems that we see bulls strong. We're seeing buyers making efforts, but we are in uncertain time. Lots of, for many people, bad perspectives in terms of recession, retraction, and so it seems for me that buyers are always trying to convince themselves to buy. That's the scenario is actually bullish. It's actually a bullish scenario, but sometimes they lack conviction, and at the same time they find always they have been finding sellers when they're trying to move. So by the chart we're seeing that people is trying to move. We have this configuring here this short-term uptrend, but it seems that players are not that convinced that we could actually move up. This week, the most important indicators will be released only on Thursday and Friday, the GDP and PCE. This is also something that have been changing the mood. All these indicators are setting or fine-tuning the player's mood. So in weeks where they take longer to show up, such as in this one, that's only on Thursday, we can see kind of indecision before. I could say that those figures can set the tone, and maybe this possible breakout here and continue this upward move to this at least to 4080, 4090, this downtrend line from January 22, maybe reaching the 4216. That is the next Fibonacci. Maybe the info players will get from GDP and PCE could possibly give this relief and conviction to go there, but until there it could be difficult to think in a strong or actually a strong breakout over there. Latest move, price didn't reach the 26, 24.5. That is exactly the pivot point. So we are seeing players struggling here when it moved downwards to reach the value area low, gaining it to the pivot point. So it's been this struggle here. So as I've been mentioned before, and for you guys that are trading or watching here for a long time, it's been hard to do something in between. We do not have we didn't. It's hard to find clear opportunities within this range. It's been better to wait for the limits. You see here, we just reached the 24.5. Faded there. It could lead to a short, 4-point short. Let's see if it's going to come to the 10. and see what could happen. Okay, so 1 hour and 10 minutes of transmission. I've taken a bit longer from what I mentioned before. Hope you have enjoyed. I'm disconnecting now. Hope you have enjoyed. Hope to be helpful. Any doubts, you can send me by email in my website or even let a comment here in the video. To be a pleasure to talk to you about not only this transmission, but the concepts involved on it, okay? Or just not lose the opportunity. We fell in 25, 26, and heading downwards towards 10, 11. Let's see what's happening. Okay, thank you so much. Hope to see you on next transmission. Bye.